Hey students, welcome to another Mr. Net screencast. Today you will be learning about the Declaration of Independence, and here are your objectives. Please pause the video, look these questions over, and get ready to copy some vocab terms and take some notes. In the last lesson, you looked at a lot of different things that angered the British colonists in the years after the French and Indian War. So let's summarize two main events. First, the King of England, George III, issued the Proclamation of 1763, which forbade the colonists from settling in the lands that England had just won to the west of the Appalachian Mountains. And second, he started to enforce mercantilism and collect new taxes in order to raise money to pay off the war debts. He ended salutary neglect and started enforcing limits on who the merchants in the colonies were able to trade with. And at the same time, the Parliament in England passed new tax laws. And tension over these actions was exacerbated by violence at the Boston Massacre and the destruction of property at the Boston Tea Party. And a group of people called the Patriots began to advocate for complete independence from England. Okay, so you've learned that already. In 1776, one of the leaders of the Patriots, whose name was Thomas Jefferson, wrote a document called the Declaration of Independence. And on July 4th, 1776, members of the Continental Congress met in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and signed the Declaration. And when you barbecue or light fireworks on July 4th, you are celebrating this event, the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Note that this is not the day that the colonists became independent. They still had to fight a war to defeat the British before that happened. But on this day, they signed a paper saying that the 13 colonies were now free from British control. The Declaration of Independence can be broken down into three main sections, and the second section is the most important, and that's the one where Jefferson summarizes his views about government and argues that under certain circumstances, people are justified in rebelling against their leaders. So Jefferson, in other words, is giving people permission to take up arms, fight against their own leaders, and possibly kill them. Think about this radical idea and ask yourself, do you agree that people have the right to rebel against their government? And if they do, under what circumstances? This is a complicated question, and it's what makes the Declaration of Independence an influential document. Jefferson's ideas in this section of the Declaration reflect an intellectual movement of the 17th and 18th century called the Enlightenment. Try saying that word, enlightenment. The Enlightenment. You probably learned about the Enlightenment in global history. It was about a lot of things, but one of the major themes was challenging the idea of monarchy or government by a king. And in this picture here, you see some of the major Enlightenment philosophers, the philosophes, who were looking critically at monarchy and wondering if there was maybe a better way to run the government. So Jefferson didn't come up with the ideas in the Declaration on his own. He took them from these Enlightenment philosophers. Let's look at a few of the ideas that influenced him. The first one is called natural rights, and this came from John Locke. And this is the idea that all men, and Locke only referred to men, have what are called natural rights. These are the rights every man is born with. They don't have to be bought or won or earned. You just have them, and nobody is supposed to be able to take them away. And the three natural rights that Locke listed are life, liberty, and property. Life means that your life is sacred and murder is a crime. Liberty means that humans should be free to make choices about how to live their own lives as long as those choices don't interfere with the natural rights of other people. And property, which Jefferson in the Declaration refers to as the pursuit of happiness, means that once a person has bought something like land or goods, nobody else is allowed to take those things away. This was a belief in private property that was also the basis for the economic system of capitalism, and ideas about capitalism were developing during the Enlightenment too. In fact, the founding text of Capitalism, The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith, was published in 1776, which is the same year the Declaration of Independence was signed. All right, to summarize, the three natural rights, according to John Locke, are life, liberty, and property. And Jefferson changed Locke's wording and referred to property as the pursuit of happiness. The second Enlightenment idea in the Declaration is called consent of the governed. So, this idea, which also came from Locke, promotes a form of government called democracy, where citizens get to vote on who their leaders will be. And this means that the government must consider the people's opinions when it makes decisions. Its power comes from the people. And a government only has power if its citizens, or the governed, give the government their permission to rule them. And we call this permission consent. And the governed give their consent by voting. If the citizens don't like what their leaders are doing, they show their disagreement by voting for different leaders. And when the Patriots chanted their slogan, "No taxation without representation," they were objecting to tax laws that were passed by a government that they were not allowed to vote for. In other words, a government they did not give their consent to. All right, the last idea in the Declaration of Independence came from Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and it's called the social contract. The social contract is an agreement between the citizens and their government. The citizens are agreeing to give up some of their free will to the government. They're giving the government some authority or control over them and allowing the government to pass laws which they agree to follow. But in return, the government promises to use its power to protect people's natural rights. And if the government does not fulfill its part of the contract, in other words, if it does not protect the citizens' natural rights, then the contract is broken and the citizens have the right to overthrow their leaders and give power to different people. So let's go back to this question we asked earlier. When is it okay to rebel against your own government? And here's what Jefferson says: people can overthrow the government if the government breaks the social contract and violates its citizens' natural rights. Let's end with this picture of King George III, King of England in 1776. And I want you to imagine for a moment how he would have reacted when he read the Declaration of Independence. Here were a group of people, the colonists, telling him, the king of the most powerful country on earth, that he had no authority over them anymore. George III was not about to let that happen. He prepared for war, and over the next 7 years, his troops would fight the rebellious colonists in what we call the American Revolution. All right, it's time to review the objectives. If you're unsure of the answer to any of them, just rewind the video and look again. I will see you in class. Bye, students.